Welcome back to my channel. My name's Ash. In this channel, we talk a lot about how to become a high performer, a high achiever, and overall boss up your life. Today, we have a special guest. And so this video is extra special because we'll be talking about how this guest, just 5 years ago, was homeless in a foreign country and today is en route to building a $1.2 billion business. That's right, you heard it correctly, billion with a B. It's called Michael Mikhail. You can check him out. All of his links are in the description below. He runs a company called Stratton Equities, and we're going to dive deep into the details of everything so that you guys can really learn what it means to be a high performer and how do you really turn your life around. You know, going from somebody being homeless to then creating a multi-million dollar business that's about to grow into 1.2 billion is no small feat. Not to mention the number of accolades and accomplishment that Michael's achieved over the last 5 years, like being nominated for Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year, or being mentioned by Forbes and New Jersey's Business Journal, and so many other things. So this is going to be a cracking interview. If you like the content and the advice we're going to be talking about in this video, then make sure to smash that like button, share it with a friend. Let this spread so more people can know the secrets of what it means to turn your life around and become somebody that you really aim to be. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and let's dive straight. Well, thank you very much, Michael, for joining me today. This is going to be a cracking interview because your story is something insane. In 2017, you were homeless in a foreign country, right? But then fast forward 6 months in the same year, you had built a business worth $1.3 million. And then, fast forward to today, you're running a nationwide company. You're also looking to grow into a 10,000 square foot office. And, there's crazy amounts of growth happening. So tell me a little bit about the background of how you ended up in the situation where you were in a foreign country and you were homeless. Like, what were you doing before?
So I got in the mortgage industry in 2004, and I was young. It was my early 20s. I was into pretty much the crash of '08, as everybody knows, the crash, and then I kind of dabbled in other things. But I had a very, very rough childhood. I didn't have any direction. I didn't know, guidance where to go. So I really had to stumble and find my own way. I'll just cut to 2012. 2012, I just was dead broke, living in my grandmother's house in New Jersey. Had no direction of what I wanted to do. I was late 20s, 30 years old, I believe. And I just said, I'm going to go overseas. So my mother, when I was young, gave me some gold that she had, and I literally sold some gold. I pocketed $3,900. I packed 3 bags, and I jumped on a one-way flight to Beirut, Lebanon, because my background is Lebanese. I was raised in Beirut. So stayed in a $10 a night hostel, and I met people. There's a lot of people, it's very social over there, and everybody that I met that did well came from Dubai. So I've never been to Dubai, I didn't know anything about Dubai. So this was late 12, early 13. I jumped on a one-way ticket from Beirut to Dubai and realized that, you need money in Dubai, So I literally lived, the first place I lived, it was with 7 guys in like a 1 or 2 bedroom, but I lived on the floor because it was cheaper. The beds, they had beds, which costed more. But I lived on the floor for 13 months, and then, trying to go to the gym and personal training and eating and all that, I just ran out of money. I just didn't have enough money. I didn't really have a job. I used to be, I used to love to train, so I'd train people for money. And I would steal bags of almonds to eat for 3-4 days. I'd go to the grocery store, and I don't condone it, but I had to do what I had to do. And I'd literally fill 2 kilos of almonds in a bag and walk out. And that was my breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 2-3 days. So got some more money to eat very inexpensively. And then just really hit rock bottom. Was sleeping on people's couches, was couch surfing on people's couch. I met people that day, and that night they were nice enough to let me sleep on their couch. Like that day. It's like I knew them or I met them, and that day I met them God knows where, and they were nice enough to let me sleep on their couch. And if not, I was out of luck. That's it. I came back to the States, and there's a lot more to the story, but I came back to the States, and I went to work for a mortgage company in September of 2017. My credit was shot. I didn't have a bank account, literally no bank account. I didn't have a dollar legally to my name. I had no credit card. I came back to my same grandmother's house that I left in 2012. and I got a job for a mortgage company. And, I worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I ended up seeing a niche. I saw a niche. I saw a space in the market that really hadn't been filled. And I saw that this industry can be done differently, that nobody's doing it in this particular way. So I literally borrowed $1,000 on my mom's credit card, and I started the foundation of the company. Thankfully, the name was available. Bought the name, my basic website I did for $400. The website originally, now it's a massive site. I did for $400, as cheap as possible, and just launched the company May 1st, 2018, and just worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week till, well, 2 years. And then it was after Christmas. So it was about December 27th, 28th. It was a Sunday. I was in the cigar shop. I was going over the numbers, and I didn't realize that I'd grossed $1.3 million. I really had no idea. I just put my head down. I just worked and worked and worked and worked, that I didn't even know the numbers that were coming in. I wasn't paying attention to it. I was just doing what I had to do. So that's the foundation of the story. And then now we're growing exponentially. I think, this is going to be a great opportunity for us, because a lot of companies are contracting, and a lot of companies in our space, as everybody knows, laying people off left and right. But we have such a niche in the market that I don't see it really slowing down. Also, what's happening is when the stock market goes in the direction it's going, you can't keep your money in cash due to inflation. You can't keep your money in stocks or Bitcoin. So I believe people are going to put their money in the only place they can, which is going to be real estate. So I think you're going to have more people investing in real estate in the next 12 to 24 months. We have new targets. Our original target was $600 million in gross closed loan volume. I think with where we're going, we can hit the number that I want to hit, which is 1.2 billion.
Wow. Does that feel surreal for you to say, just like, 5 years ago, from where you were, just going back to your grandma's house, to 5 years later saying, yeah, I'm going to plan to hit 1.2 billion?
Once you start to get to that B number, things change. You don't realize it, right? We hit 100 million, and we hit 200 million. Not too long ago, the goal was 600 million. But I'm very blessed. I am very thankful for everything, more than you can imagine. Things are just going in the right direction. We're going to be hiring significantly over the next 12 to 24 months. We actually going to be doing, putting ads out now as we speak. And I truly believe we can hit that 1.2 billion mark, which is 100 million a month. That is the target. And the way I see it, you aim high, and even if you fall a little short, you're still up there, right? Because if you aim for, let's say, 100 million and you hit 50 million, well, but if you aim for 1.2 billion and then you hit 900 million, that's still something.
Yeah, 100%. Much higher than a potential 600 million target that you had previously. So I want to take back to something you said earlier about, right in the beginning, you were working at this mortgage company, and then you realized that there was a niche, there was an opening for you to kind of start your own business. So did you always know you wanted to start your own business, or how did that come about?
I've always been an entrepreneur. I just didn't, you have to learn how to scale. And I always talk about that. As an entrepreneur, there's a lot, like anything you do, right? Anything you do, you have to learn the ins and the outs. You have to learn how to manage people, deal with people, hire people, train people. There's so much. And if you don't do those things, you really can't grow. So, I wasn't in the opportunity where I come like, oh, well, let me hire all these people to do all these jobs, and I'll just sit back. I had to do everything myself. So I didn't have the money and the capability to do that. So I had to, when I was younger, I was 15 years old. I used to sharpen knives for students' parents. They'd bring knives to school. This is when you could do that. You can't do that today. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always loved, I've had numerous businesses when I was younger. Nothing to this magnitude, of course. But that's what that's a big recommendation I have. If you look at anybody that became very successful, they failed tremendously, multiple times. And that's a big thing with people, is I talk to people, they're too scared to fail. Failure is amazing if you learn from it, right? And if you don't learn from it, then it's a problem. But, Stratton Equities came about. Part of it was when I was overseas, I was in Thailand and Southeast Asia for a while in the end of 2016 before I went back to Dubai, then back to the States. And I got an idea, same thing, for a vitamin company. So I saw that, all these vitamin companies are making a fortune, but their product was garbage. Like the product itself was garbage. So I actually formulated, because my background, I've been in, fitness for a long time when I was younger. I formulated my own vitamin, like literally formulated it and had it made, had it produced, and it was a great vitamin. It did great. As the product itself, I just didn't understand and realize how much money it took to market. So when you have a product like a vitamin that somebody has to hear hype and this and go online and purchase, it's very expensive to do that because there's no salespeople behind it. So I didn't have the money to market and advertise a brand nationally, which is millions and millions of dollars, to build the brand so people can really start to buy. I mean, there's a little bit of sales, but the people that I met in building that company in 2017 were a part of the foundation of Stratton Equities. So if people don't realize that there's a road. You do this, it leads to this, it leads to this, it leads to this. Things aren't isolated. I don't see things as isolated. The things are all attached. So if it wasn't for doing the vitamin company and the people that I met in that establishment or building that company, I wouldn't have had those people to help me in Stratton Equities, which helped with the foundation of that company, and then so on and so forth.
So what you're saying is effectively all of these different failed business ventures have taught you something that you then took forward to the next bit that you were trying. So that brings on to a good debate that we were having a little while before on my channel, around money versus passion. You see a lot of people talking about this, right? When you're starting off, people with an entrepreneurial mind are always kind of chasing some parts of the money, and then at some point they figure out what their passion is. But nowadays, a lot of the focus is kind of talking about you should follow your passion. Some people say you should follow the money. So what's your thought on that from when you were doing your thing to what you're doing now?
No passion. You won't be. I don't know anybody that's extremely successful that's not passionate about what they do. Look at Elon Musk. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. Look, I mean, he's passionate. He's obsessed. You have to be obsessed. You have passion and you have obsession. I'm obsessed. Like I wake up every day at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, regardless of what time I go to bed, and I go to bed early generally. I have my routine. I have my schedule, which I stick to it. But I am obsessed with what I do. When you're obsessed about something, it's hard to explain. It's like Michael Jordan, right? You become just better than other people at it. And anything that you do, the only way you can rise to the top is by being better than everybody else. Having a difference, having a niche, having something different about you that in this space that nobody else really has. And unless you are just obsessed and passionate about something, you just don't hit that level. It's kind of like a job for you. When something's just a job, you don't dedicate your life and your soul and your passion to it. So you don't really become that successful at it. I love what I do. I love the space. I love everything about it, and I'm literally obsessed with it. Like there's nothing that I'd rather do at this point. I have other businesses as well that kind of feed into this, but this is my livelihood. This is my complete life. I'm obsessed with what I do in the company and our staff. And you will learn that you will not become successful without the right people around you. You just will not. And that took time as well. I didn't have that in my younger years. In the smaller and the other businesses I had, I didn't surround myself with the right people. I didn't have the ability to. Now I surround myself with the right people, and those people are a part of. Well, I mean, you look at anybody. Elon Musk, any of these people, they have a group of people around them that help them succeed. Nobody's just doing it on their own. It's just not happening.
Yeah, that's such a good point around like the people side of things, and everything you said just there was like gold, like gold dust. But one of the most important things that you brought up there is like, from the different things that you've tried in the past to when you're building Stratton Equities, you also had the foundation with the people from the vitamins that you started who could help you start this whole thing up. So how did you manage to meet the right people, and how did you kind of figure out who you should surround yourself with to change your level from where you were to where you now want to be?
I work with people that fit my personality. I don't chase anybody. I can't deal with procrastinators, even though you deal with that in business, or deal with that in everything actually. So I deal with people that fit my personality, people that are honest to me. A big thing is people that have my best interest. I don't work with anybody that doesn't have a passion for the company, and it's just, okay, I'm paying them X amount of dollars to do a job, and then they don't care. I work with people, whether it's IT, whether it's social media, whether it's web design, whether it's whatever the case may be, that have a vested interest in me. They have a passionate vested interest in the company. They want to see the company succeed. I don't just work with people like, okay, let me just hire you to do a job, but it's just a job for you. I found that working with people that have a similar passion as I do has been a big help. I'll tell you that what's helping me right now was, I reconnected. So in 2008, I worked for a gentleman that had 1,000-person mortgage company. He had a 1,000-person mortgage company. He was funding about $5.5 billion a year for over 25 years. Extremely successful man. And I worked for his company in 2008, but I wasn't there for too long. And I was in Boca, because I go down to Boca or Palm Beach. I was in Boca a couple months ago, and I take a late flight. So I'm sitting at the bar, and I hear guys on my left talking about mortgages. So, I turn and I look, and the guy that recruited me in 2008 moved to Boca, and I haven't seen him in 2008. We started talking, reconnected. Long story short, the guy now that owned the mortgage company, he sold it for a fortune, and he now consults with very high-end companies and corporations and CEOs. So we became friends. I hired him. Now we're personal friends, and he's been a huge influence on getting things in the right direction for me, because he's already walked that road. He owned one of the largest mortgage companies in America for years. So he has the contacts. He knows what he's doing. He's phenomenal at training people. I talk to him every day at 6 a.m. He's actually coming here in 2 hours. I see him 3 days a week. So he's been a huge, huge help in getting me to that next. Let's put it this way. The 1.2 billion came about when he came into the picture. Before he came into the picture, my 600 million was kind of where we're going to go. When he came into the picture, that's when we hit that we can do the 1.2 billion.
Wow. Amazing. So it really kind of elevated your way of thinking by just shifting on the mindset. So I want to dive a little bit into the mindset aspect of it. So talk to me about how you were able to overcome your own kind of fears of failure, especially, when there's tough times hitting, and you probably didn't expect it to become the magnitude it is when you first started. So where did you get that confidence from to work your 17 hours a day?
There's a saying that there's always a girl in every story.
Yeah.
There's a girl in every story.
I see where this is going.
So when I was living in Dubai, I met a girl, and I think the first girl I actually really had a connection with in my whole life. But we were broke together. And we were together about 2.5 to 3 years, and didn't work out in the end. I mean, I was a very different human being back then. I didn't have my stuff together. Financially, it wasn't there. We were not in a good situation financially. I wasn't in a good situation in a lot of capacities. And long story short, we ended up breaking up. I was actually with her in Thailand when I got the idea of the vitamin company, and we ended up breaking up in 2000, end of 16, right around then. And like most men, I tried to get her back, and it just didn't work. And I realized that trying to get this girl back in the situation that I was in is just not going to work. I need to take a step back. I needed to completely change my life. And the original, now I'm past that, but the original foundation of what got me to just, when I tell you the gift that I have of hyper focusing, I cut the world out. When I tell you, and I tell this to everybody, if you want to be successful, and Elon Musk talks about it all the time, I just did nothing. I woke up, I showered, I had coffee and breakfast, and I did 18 hours a day, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, no TV. First of all, I don't watch TV now at all. No TV, no sports, no nothing, no going out with friends, no dating, nothing. And people don't understand what I mean when I say that. And I'll tell you, I conjured up this thing called the squirrel story. So before I started the company, I was driving around, and something just clicked in my head. I saw squirrels, and you can see squirrels, raccoons, whatever. And they are successful because I realized all they do is focus on 3 things. Well, technically 4 things: food, water, shelter, mate. So let's take out the mate: food, water, shelter. That's all they do. They're not, so in 24 hours, they're focusing on 3 things: food, water, shelter. I need food, water, shelter. And it dawned upon me, and it clicked in my head, that if you literally cut the world out and you only focus on one thing, only focus on one thing, that you have a significantly higher chance of accomplishing that goal, and you'll accomplish it much faster than somebody else who's working 4 hours a day at it. and you have a better chance of accomplishing that goal. So I did nothing for 2 years. Nothing. People don't understand to what extent. I didn't watch a movie. I didn't go out. I did nothing besides sit like a machine and work on what I had to work on. And that was a big thing of what catapulted us faster than other companies and our competition. But I mean, what started it was the desire to get that girl back. And I knew that I need to become extremely successful to be able to, again, to be the man that I needed to be. And we talk now. She's actually living in Dubai. She's overseas, but she actually reached out to me, which was shocking, from seeing my podcast and from Googling me and seeing me on Forbes and seeing me in all these things. And she's extremely proud of what I accomplished, and kind of came around full circle. But right now it's still not the time. My time is to continue to hit that 1.2 billion. I will not rest. I can't until we hit our numbers. I just can't do it.
Right. It just shows that in order to build something massive, you've got to do what other people aren't willing to do. So what's your work ethic now? What's your routine like?
I sleep between 8:30 and 9 o'clock generally. I'm up, but I don't set an alarm. I just wake up. Dude, I just wake up. I wake up between 3:30, 4:30 in the morning. I get to the office between 5 and 6. And then I'm here till about 5 or 6. So I'm doing about 12 hours a day now. And I had to do 18 because I was doing all the work. Now, thankfully, I have a lot of people doing work, so I can put in between 10 to 12 hours a day. And it's really simple. I go have a cigar. I'm a big cigar guy. I go have dinner. I go home. I don't watch TV. I actually watch educational YouTube videos. I like educational YouTube videos. That's what I watch. So I watch educational YouTube videos for an hour and a half, or some comedy just to diffuse. And I go to bed. I do it all over again. And people know me. I hate the weekends. Monday morning. I'm in bed by, I'm not kidding, 6:30 on a Sunday. I'm in bed. I'm just defusing. I got to prepare mentally for the week. People don't understand something called mental fatigue and mental capacity. You have to rest your brain. And all the billionaires of the world know about decision fatigue. You ever wonder why Steve Jobs wore the same thing every day? Decision fatigue. I don't pay attention to what I wear. I literally get up, throw it on, and I'm out of the house in freaking 2 minutes, shower and out of the house, because I don't take mental energy in things that don't make me money and things that aren't bringing me my company success. So, that took a lot of time to learn that, to not, that's why I don't watch TV. I don't watch sports. I don't congest my brain and my emotions with things that are going to put in. I don't watch news. I stopped watching the news about 2 years ago because it's all garbage anyway. But it's all, when is there anything positive on the news? Never. It's never positive. It's always negative, and you understand that puts negativity in you, that puts negativity in your brain, that takes your mental energy away. It strips your mental energy. So I'm very big in positive energy, being enlightened, and just keeping my mental focus as sharp as possible. There's people that I don't talk to Monday through Friday because they absorb a lot of energy from me. So I'll literally only talk to them on maybe Saturday. No matter how many times they call me, I won't talk to them because it will strip mental energy from me.
I mean, that's really, really strict work ethic for yourself, right? But how important do you think it is for people, let's say anybody who wants to create something different from their peer groups, people that want to create something like what you have? What would you say are a few things that are extremely important, including the kind of routine and the seriousness that you mentioned?
I mean, there's books about it, about changing your habits. And that's what people don't understand is you have to change your habits. I had to change my habits completely. Yeah. Nobody successful sleeps late and wakes up late. This is a fact. If you look at the top billionaires of the world, it tells you when they wake up. They have their routine, they have their schedule. They wake up early, they sleep early. It's a huge part of becoming successful. They don't waste time. People don't understand that the most valuable thing on earth is time. The most valuable thing, it's not money, it's time. And you have to realize how much you can accomplish within that time. So for me, I don't procrastinate. Like if I'm in the shower at 4 o'clock and I want to send an email, I'll get out of the shower, send it because it's in my head. I will send the email and get back into the shower. If I'm driving and I need to do something, I will pull over. I cannot procrastinate. There's a saying, Mr. I'll do it tomorrow never became a millionaire. So if he didn't become a millionaire, he's definitely not becoming a billionaire. So people procrastinate. You cannot procrastinate. Everything is now. I want it now. And that's where I train people that come for us now. No, not tomorrow, now. I'm like obsessed with now. Don't tell me tomorrow. Don't tell me in an hour. I want it done right now. So everything has to get done now. I don't procrastinate anything. And people have to really learn how valuable time is and really value their time and not and sacrifice. I'll tell you, I don't have pets. I love a pet, but pet will take away time. You got to walk it. You got to take it to the vet. You got to do this. That's not. I don't have time for that. So there's a lot of things that I sacrifice in my life because it will bring joy in the interim, but it won't allow me the time I need to get to where I'll get. So there's a lot of my whole entire life now for where I need to get. I mean, so did Elon Musk. If you look at his story, he sacrificed, all he did was work 20 hours a day for decades.
Yeah.
But now he's Elon Musk.
Yeah. Now people know him as someone who's done something crazy. So, and equally for you, right? Like you came from something where people would normally associate to be a situation where, oh, that's not recoverable, right? So normally people would just then go get a job and then be in that job, and that would be potentially their life. So what?
Hit on that. That goes back to the sacrifice. Because I lived in my grandmother's house, because I didn't have a wife and kids that I needed to support, because I didn't have any debt from all that, I had the ability to not make any money for so long and focus on the company. But if I lived like everybody else did, get married, have kids, buy a house, have this, I wouldn't have the ability to do what I did because I would need to get a job, because I would need to support a family. I got to pay the mortgage. I got to pay the bills. I had no bills. I was literally eating, I don't know, for $8 a day. And, literally I'd just go buy like a grilled chicken, eat it twice, and like with some hummus. You know what I'm saying? Like I would literally eat like $8 a day. And and that was going on a credit card. It wasn't even cash. It was going on a credit card. And, I don't agree with people that say have a plan B. Don't have a plan B. Have a plan A. Because when you have a plan B, you don't give plan A 1,000%, because I don't have a plan B. I didn't have a plan B. I wanted a better life. I wanted to have nice things, and nobody was going to give it to me. That was the bottom line. Nobody's going to give it to me. So if I didn't do what I had to do, it's not going to happen. And that is also, I talked to a lot of people about it, that everybody that I know that was successful had a rough patch. They were homeless. They had a bad childhood. They were bad in school, most of them. If you really look at it, some of the smartest, most successful people in the world were horrible in school. They were dyslexic. Elon Musk has Asperger's. What's his name? Richard Branson is dyslexic. Robin Williams was bipolar. A lot of these people were horrible in school, and they ended up finding their own way. They ended up finding their own road. And they didn't believe it when they were in school, but I don't know. A lot of people, if you look at it, that should be successful, have something that people deem them as being a negative when they were younger, and they turn into a positive.
Because you also have dyslexia, right? So
I have two things: I have ADHD and I'm dyslexic.
Right. So people would have normally considered that, like you said, as a bit of a disadvantage growing up. So talk to me about your mindset of how you shifted that into being something that you can use to your advantage, and now part of your story.
It was part of the foundation of the company, because I can read bullet points, like if you bullet point an email, but if you have like paragraphs and paragraphs, it messes me up. So when I started the company and I was the only person that was doing loans at the time, you had a lot of people that would email, and they email their scenario and you have all this information, and I would get on the phone. And getting on the phone allowed me to really understand the deal better, build a better rapport with people, and understand the scenario and the pitfalls of the deal. So it had a better conversion in making money and closing loans. So we implemented that into our training. We have a very extensive training gear for new recruits, and they can't do things via email. I mean, yes, you can email, but you cannot structure a loan via email. You get on the phone, you structure it on the phone. That became part of the bloodline of the company, that everybody does it, and it makes everybody become more successful here. But it stemmed from me being dyslexic and not being able to read these paragraphs that people were sending me, or really comprehend. I can read them, I really can't comprehend them well. It messes me up. So I did it all over the phone. I'm very good on the phone. My emails are like yes, no, goodbye. I'll see you at 2:00. They're like my texts. I don't text paragraphs. If we're gonna text a lot, just freaking call me. I'm not going to sit there and text with you for an hour. It's okay, dinner, yes, yes, no, no. But I'm not texting paragraphs. So everything I do, I get up, get on the phone, let's talk, let's resolve it.
And that's pretty good, right? Because actually what that probably did is like allowed the customers to feel very, very valued, because you're then giving them this one-to-one service that other companies would have probably just given them over an email that they have to read through over their own time and get back to you. So
more time consuming because
yeah,
you got back and forth via email. So you got to read the email, then you got to hit send. Then you got to wait hours for somebody to read it and then respond. And then you got to go back and you're going to go back and forth. So it'll take you 2 days to get to a point where I can do on a phone call in 5 minutes.
So it's efficiency for you as well. Mind on the money, right? Got to keep it going.
It's all about being efficient. I'm all about how much can we do in an hour? How much can we accomplish? How much ground can we cover in an hour?
And that's a really strong segue to what we're about to do now. Because what I want to talk about is, okay, let's say there's a new person now who's inspired by your story. Like, oh my God, in 5 years, you've accomplished what most people never even dream about accomplishing in their entire lives. So what do people have to do in order to try and follow in your footsteps? Like, what are some things that they can do to create that wealth from the ground up?
Tell people this: hitting rock bottom is a godsend. It's a godsend. And like, I know people, I'm sure everybody knows people that just talk, but they don't do. And it's because they haven't hit rock bottom. They have daddy money, they have this money, they have something, and they don't have to. I had no choice. I had to. If you look at Tony Robbins' story, it's a very interesting story. He was down to his last $6. He had a horrible childhood. He didn't have, only his mother didn't have a very nice mother, let's call it. He moved out at 16 years old and was also living in his cars and broke, and he was down to his last $6. If you look at, again, Elon Musk, who had a point where he was eating hot dogs for $1 a day. Hitting rock bottom was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I tell people it's the best thing that'll ever happen to you. You have to hit rock bottom. I don't care what people say. Rock bottom to me is because the only way is up. And you're either going to sink or you're going to swim. And I learned how to swim. Like, I'll give you an example about that. I was in Lebanon in 2000, in the early 80s and 90s. And, I knew how to swim, but military officer took me out in the middle of the ocean, a mile, and just pushed me off the boat. That was it. And I didn't know that was happening. So, and it was jellyfish. It was manta jellyfish mating season. These things are like 10 feet long, and there were millions of them. So I literally got pushed off a boat a mile off the Mediterranean and was forced underwater to swim back through millions of jellyfish, which ripped me apart. And that's how I learned how to swim. I'm big in doing it the hard way and then overcoming the goals and becoming very successful. I don't do things the easy way. I don't believe anybody becomes successful doing things the easy way. And that comes back to sacrifice. And that comes back to, building that hunger. I mean, you look at Jay-Z's story. Jay-Z's teacher told him he's going to be a failure. Now he's worth over $1 billion. I've never seen anybody with an easy life or an easy childhood become very successful. I have cousins that had extremely wealthy father growing up. We were virtually the same age, and gave them everything under the sun you can ever imagine growing up. And they're bums now. They're my age and never had a job. They still live on their father's money. They still live in the house their father supplies them. But they had S600s and Rolexes and $2,000 cell phones in the 90s and private jets to Europe. And when I was growing up, I envied that, because who wouldn't at 10, 12 years old? But I would not trade my life for anything in the world right now, because I don't want to be a bum.
And their parents probably had your mindset, where they developed that kind of wealth that they're now leeching off of. So that's a really cool story about the whole, getting right down. It's literally in the deep, and then you're trying to swim back. So would you think it's fair to say that for somebody to develop that level of grit, it's, they have to hit the rock bottom to be, or at least create that rock bottom sensation in their mind so they can actually start to swim out of it. And then they have to be religious about their work ethic on what they need to do, and literally cut out any kind of distractions and basically have to sacrifice something in order to grow and become something that no one else has been, right? But how does somebody keep themselves motivated when they're working hard and they're not seeing those results.
I'm lucky, I guess. And I hate to use the word lucky. I wasn't lucky. I worked for it, but I saw results relatively quickly. So that's a big thing that kept me on the road. It is that, you just gotta. I believe if you're doing the right thing, sooner or later you will see results. Right? Like it's like working out. I haven't worked out in a long time. I actually gained weight, which I need to lose. But when I used to work out, I would see results very, very quickly because I knew how to do it. So when you do something correctly, you will see results faster. I mean, if you're going years and years and years without results, that you're gonna have to rework things. But if you do something correctly, and if you have, society is a great barometer, because when I started, I got a lot of positive feedback from people at a very early stage in my career. And that put me on the track that I am doing the right thing. I am going in the right direction. I did build something special. And now, I don't want to say things too prematurely, but where things are going in this direction, people are seeing the success of the company and the niche of the company. So because, if you're on the right track, I believe sooner or later, it shouldn't take you that long to see some light of the tunnel. Maybe not become a billionaire, but see some light in the tunnel or positive feedback from people saying, yeah, you are doing the right thing. And I do see the value in this company. And I do see the sacrifice that you're putting. So, I mean, technically, I don't think it should take you that long to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and that's with the caveat of definitely working hard towards it every single day, right?
Because if you do it 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, instead of taking you 2 years, take you 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Do the simple math. If you're working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, compared to 7 days a week, 18 hours a day, you're going to do it 2.5 times faster.
Absolutely. So, Michael, tell me about Stratton Equities. What are your plans in the future, and how can we, the viewers, help and support you in your journey next?
It's a very interesting time in the market right now. Everybody's following the market, obviously. People are seeing what's happening. Our goal right now, it's volume. We have to hire, so we have to hire the right people. We're very strict on who we hire. And it's just more company growth. I mean, we have the foundation that we need. It's just to hit that magic number. That 1.2 billion is obviously going to take all hands on deck and a lot of work, and finding a lot more of the right people, and just continuing to progress in the direction that we've been going for the past couple of years. I can tell you that we had a setback with COVID. We had a major setback, like everybody else did, or some people did. Some people actually did very well during COVID, but we had a setback of time. If it wasn't for COVID, we would be there right now. COVID delayed about 2 years from us of where we needed to go. So it delayed about a 1.5 to 2 years from our plan. So we would be further along the pipe if it wasn't for COVID right now. But I see within the next 12 months, we should be very close, but it's probably going to take about 24 months to really get where we want to get to.
Amazing. I mean, that vision sounds so clear in your mind. So I want to finish up at that point. Like, can you tell me how important is having a vision for you and for the company?
You can't not have a vision. You have to have a role. I mean, how do you find buried treasure without a map? You should go dig everywhere, just dig every sand you can find. You have to have a roadmap. A big thing is I don't believe in business plans. I don't. Because imagine if I did a business plan in 2017. That thing would have been thrown out in 6 months. And again, time. I would have wasted. How much time does it take to make a business plan? It's a lot of time. It's a lot of brain power. And you really, things that positive. When you build your plan, you build your plan on where you are right now. You don't know the things that are going to knock on your door in 6 months that can catapult you to another level, or infuse money that can come in, or whatever that can happen. So you're doing your plan on where you are at that day, at that time. So have a vision, obviously, have a dream, have a passion, have a direction. But I didn't waste any time, which is a lot of time, building a plan that was going to be scrapped in 6 months anyway. Companies want projections and all that. Projections. You're making projections on something that hasn't happened yet. What do you have, a crystal ball? I just find it to be just all fluff. For me, I rather spend the time doing the work and putting my head down and doing the work rather than spend hours and days and days and days making projections and plans on something that I really can't control.
I think, having a clear vision of where you're going, like you said, the treasure map, it just leads you in the direction. But then let's not waste time doing the fluffy things that are just there to make it look nice, but instead let's get the grind going and actually do what needs to be done, because that's really how you're going to create momentum, right? And then as you create that momentum, you'll just be going much faster in the direction you want to go.
Most CEOs in my space spend most of their time in meetings. They want to feel good. They want to go to these conventions. They're constantly going to conventions. I did that a little bit, and I'm like, this is a waste of my time. This is a waste of my time. I don't need this. And I go faster, farther by being in the office and building and growing the company and pushing people and working with people and motivating people than I do spending 3 days in Florida going to some convention, meeting people that I really don't want to meet anyway. And that's what most of them do. They're going to dinners, they're this, they're here, they're there. I'm in the office 12 hours a day. I might leave once a week to go do something, but I'm in the office 12 hours a day and I'm building internally. That's what I do. And I don't put my responsibilities on anybody else. I don't have people that, okay, you do this, I have people that are under me, but I didn't put the responsibility of the direction of the company in anybody else's hands. That's still in my hands. We have processors, we have loan officer assistants, we have loan officers, we have this, we have marketing, we have PR, we have all these people, but everything stems from what I do and my vision. I don't let other people put their vision.
Amazing, Michael. And that's why you will hit your 1.2 billion target and then some. So this is amazing. Thank you very much for joining. How can people reach out to you, or how can people interact with your company? And if they want to apply, where do they go?
Equities.com. It's all on the website.
Amazing. And I will definitely put all the links in the description below so people can check that out as well. Michael, it has been an incredible, incredible journey with you today. Thank you very much for sharing so much and adding so much value. Wasn't that an insanely good interview? I loved every minute of it. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe down below. And if you have any questions, always leave a comment, because I will be getting back to every single comment that's there. And if you haven't connected with me, make sure to follow my social links down below, and I'll see you in the next one.